Hi everyone. In today's post, I'll be showing you how to calculate the weighted average in Excel. Basically, the difference between the normal average and the weighted average. Okay, so let's say you have a small data set like this, and you have purchased a number of items. In this case, we have candy floss purchased at 1000 units at 2.95, and then your second purchase was with 500 units at $5. Now, obviously, when you negotiate at a larger volume, you will be able to bargain at a better price. So that's basically the difference between 1000 units purchased at 2.95 and 500 units at $5. And the third purchase again over here you can see is at 1200 units at $3. Now, when you calculate the average formula, it's basically using the average if formula. In this case, you can just take your range in this case, and uh, within the range you're looking for candy floss, so you can highlight candy floss, and we need the average price which is in this range. Press Control Enter and you get an average price of $3.65. Now, what I have done below here is I have removed all the candy floss purchases, so I can show you the average formula and I can show you the weighted average calculation as well. So in this case I will use average if again. In this case my range is this, and my criteria, I'm looking for candy floss, and I need the average price of this. So I get an average price of 3.67. Now, how do you calculate the weighted average? So you use a formula called Sumproduct. Sumproduct is asking you for array 1. In this case we have this as my array 1 and this is the array 2. Now basically what Sumproduct formula does is it multiplies 1000 units multiplied by 3, 500 units multiplied by 5, and 1200 units multiplied by 3. After multiplying each row, it adds. So that's what basically the sum part does. So we get an answer of $9,100. In this case, what we need to do is we need to divide this by the total quantity in order to get the weighted average. So you use the divide sign and you use the sum formula again, and then you add the total quantity and you get a weighted average of 3.37 in this case. So in this case you can see the difference of weighted average is 3.37 compared to the average price of 3.67. Your weighted average has come down. Reason being because you have purchased a higher quantity at a lesser price. In case I have purchased 2000 units, now you see your weighted average comes down even further to 3.27. So it's always better to buy a huge volume at a bargained price, right? So difference between average and weighted average. Now, how do you compute this dynamically? When I say dynamically, what I mean is that if you have a range of 100 rows or thousands of rows and you have duplicate entries, so how can you do this? In this case, I have built a data validation, so I can choose if I need the weighted average of candy floss or cocoa beans. So we'll see how to do this dynamically, and I'm using the sum product formula again. Inside the sum product I will use open brackets because I want to evaluate my first range, which is this, should be equal to this part. And why I'm choosing it here is because this is going to be dynamic. So I close this, I multiply it again, opening another bracket, and now I need to multiply the quantity, close the bracket, open the third bracket. In this case I need the price, so I will highlight the price, close the bracket and close the sum product formula, and this should give me the total of $9,050. Now remember, again, to calculate the weighted average in this we need to divide it by the sum of candy floss. But as you can see, in this range you have candy floss and cocoa beans. So you can use it. You can use the same formula. Divide this by the sum if formula. The sum if formula is used for duplicate entries. So in this case, we have candy floss. This becomes my range. The criteria in this is candy floss. I need to highlight candy floss, and I need the sum now, which is this. So control enter and you get 3.35 in this case. Right now, why is there a difference over here? It's 2.95, so we can make this as well as 2.95. And now you can see that my weighted average is 3.35, and here also my weighted average is 3.35. So this is how you can calculate it dynamically. You can use a combination of the sum product formula and the sum if formula. Now basically what is happening inside the sum product formula, if I highlight this part and I highlight and press the F9 key on the keyboard, it evaluates to true and false. Let me highlight this part. So you can see 1500, these are the quantities that are mentioned here, and this part is actually evaluating whether it's true or false. So we were evaluating to candy floss. So the first row shows you true, the second row as well shows you true. The third row, which is cocoa beans, shows false, right? So wherever it is true, it will give you the number 1. So 1 multiplied by 1000, in this case again 1 multiplied by 500, again the third part which is true, 1 multiplied by 1200. So it will multiply this 1000 by this, 500 by this, and 1200 by this, and add all of them together, and then the result is divided by the sum if formula, which is we are calculating for candy floss, and that's how you get the dynamic weighted average. So you can always see there is a big difference between your average formula and weighted average, and it's always good to calculate the weighted average when you have a number of purchases made on different quantities and different prices. Now if I can choose cocoa beans, I can see that my formula updates dynamically, right? So I hope you enjoyed this video on the sum product and sum if formula, and showing you how to calculate the weighted average in Excel. Thanks again for watching.